the moving shelves. Nora stepped into the library, and the shelves seemed alive, shifting ever so slightly as if breathing. Every book leaned toward her, whispering possibilities she had never dared imagine. She saw glimpses of lives she could have lived, a childhood filled with adventure, a career she had abandoned, friendships left unspoken, loves unclaimed. Her heartbeat quickened, a mix of fear and curiosity. Each shelf was a corridor into another version of herself, and with every step, the library stretched wider, deeper, endless. The world outside, gray, wet Bedford, faded into insignificance. Here, the air hummed with potential, regret, and hope all tangled together. For the first time in years, she felt a pulse of excitement. Choices mattered, even if they were imaginary, because in this space, possibilities felt real. And as she reached for a book, she realized the library wasn't just a building. It was a doorway to every life she could ever live. The Book of Regrets. Nora opened a leather-bound book, its pages trembling under her fingers as if alive. Each line was a memory she had buried or a choice she had feared to make. Small regrets, like skipped piano lessons, and larger ones, like opportunities ignored or love left unspoken, filled the pages. She traced them with her eyes, a bittersweet ache curling in her chest. It wasn't just a list of mistakes. It was a mirror of her life's what-ifs, each one shining with the weight of possibility. The more she read, the heavier and lighter she felt all at once, as if carrying every regret also freed her from it. Tears pricked her eyes, but there was a strange comfort in seeing them written down, tangible yet powerless to define her. Maybe, she thought, the purpose wasn't to dwell on the past, but to recognize it, to honor it, and to understand that even regrets could teach her something about who she was, and who she could still become. Regret overload. Nora felt the weight of every choice pressing down on her, like the sky itself had grown heavy with her missed chances. Each decision she'd avoided, each word she hadn't said, piled up in her mind until it was almost unbearable. She could feel the pulse of what might have been in her veins, a relentless reminder that life kept moving even when she felt stuck. The library around her seemed to vibrate with the energy of all the lives she hadn't lived, all the paths she hadn't taken. It was overwhelming, almost suffocating, but also strangely electrifying. For the first time, she saw that regret wasn't just sorrow. It was proof that she had felt, chosen, and dreamed. And if all those regrets existed, it meant there were also possibilities waiting, lives she could still explore. Maybe, just maybe, she thought, the weight of regret could become the wings of action. Every life begins now. Nora stood at the edge of the library, feeling as if time itself had paused to watch her. Each shelf, each book pulsed with infinite possibilities, whispering that every life she could imagine was waiting for her, right now. She realized that the moments she thought were endings were really beginnings in disguise. The rain outside tapped softly against the windows, like a heartbeat urging her forward. She could taste the fresh air of lives she hadn't lived, feel the thrill of choices she hadn't dared to make. In this library, she was not just Nora Seed, lost in the weight of her regrets. She was every version of herself she had ever dreamed of becoming. And in that instant, hope sparked like fire, that no matter how dark the past, the present was hers to shape. Every life truly begins now. The Three Horseshoes. Nora wandered into the cozy, dimly lit pub, the Three Horseshoes, seeking refuge from the rain-soaked streets of Bedford. The air smelled of roasted barley and warm wood, a comforting contrast to the cold despair she had carried all day. As she perched on a stool, she felt the hum of countless untold stories swirling around her. Lives she could have lived, paths she could have taken. Every laugh, every clink of a glass reminded her that life, no matter how tangled or imperfect, still had moments worth savoring. She imagined herself choosing differently, embracing adventure, love, and curiosity instead of fear. The pub, ordinary to others, became a symbol of potential, a small, luminous beacon in her shadowed world. In that warmth, she realized that joy wasn't about grand gestures. It could bloom in the quiet corners, in fleeting human connections, and in the courage to simply stay present. The penultimate update. Nora had posted before she found herself. Sitting in her flat, Nora stared at the blinking cursor on her screen. The message she had typed, then erased, reflected the storm of emotions inside her. It was supposed to be a simple update, a note to friends about the chaos of her life. But it felt monumental. Every word carried the weight of regret, hope, and the faintest spark of possibility. She wondered if anyone would truly understand the spiraling mix of grief, frustration, and yearning that defined her days. Posting it or not posting it seemed inconsequential, yet somehow necessary, a breadcrumb in the path towards self-discovery. The act of writing became a bridge, connecting the life she had known to the life she might still create. In that quiet, pixel-lit room, she recognized that the story of herself was still unfolding, and that each hesitant keystroke was a choice, a small assertion of agency in a world that often felt unbearably heavy. Between life and death, Nora floated between consciousness and darkness, feeling the fragile line that separated existence from oblivion. Her body moved, but her mind wandered elsewhere. Through memories, regrets, and imagined futures, every heartbeat seemed amplified, a reminder that she was still here, yet not fully present. Time felt elastic, stretching moments of fear and relief into eternity. In this liminal space, Nora faced the weight of choices she had made and those she had yet to make. It was a strange clarity, understanding that life was both fleeting and infinite, fragile yet resilient. The world outside carried on, oblivious to the silent reckoning within her chest. And in that suspended, almost sacred stillness, she glimpsed a possibility. That perhaps life in all its unpredictable chaos was worth holding on to, even when despair whispered the loudest. The chessboard. Nora sat before the chessboard, the familiar black and white squares stretching out like a miniature universe. Each piece represented choices, consequences, and missed opportunities. Moving a pawn felt heavy with symbolism, every decision echoing across the board of her life. She thought of the paths she hadn't taken, the what-ifs that haunted her quietest moments. And yet, there was a strange beauty in the game. Strategy, patience, and the potential for redemption in every move. The chessboard mirrored reality, a lesson she could almost grasp. Life was a sequence of decisions, some small, some monumental, and the outcome was never fixed. Sitting there, she realized that to play was to accept risk, loss, and growth. With a slow, deliberate motion, she moved her knight, imagining the possibility that even the smallest step could change everything. The only way to learn is to live. Pain, joy, failure, triumph. Nora realized that understanding life required living it fully, in all its messiness. Watching the world around her, she saw people stumble, recover, and move forward. Lessons weren't in books or advice, but in the moments that caught the heart off guard. The first heartbreak. The small kindness from a stranger. The quiet nights filled with self-reflection. Learning required presence, engagement, and sometimes courage to face the unknown. Nora felt the weight of regret and hope intertwined, a reminder that every choice carried both consequences and insights. Sitting on the edge of despair, she understood that the only true teacher was experience itself. To live meant to risk, to falter, to grow, and that even in failure, there was knowledge and strength waiting to be claimed. Fire. The warmth of fire called to Nora in a way the world hadn't in years. Its flickering light danced across thoughts, illuminating memories both comforting and painful. Fire was destruction and renewal, endings and beginnings, a mirror to her own life. Watching the flames, she felt the urge to burn away the stagnation, the fear, the heaviness that clung to her. Yet alongside that urge, she recognized the life she had yet to ignite within herself. Small sparks of hope, connection, and possibility. Fire reminded her that even the darkest nights could be pierced by light, that warmth could return after cold, and that transformation often began in the crucible of challenge. She inhaled the scent of smoke, letting it settle into her bones, and for the first time in a long while imagined herself not just surviving, but truly living.